Hello, welcome to the UC Student Regent blog. My name is Alfredo Morales. I am the current Student Regent. This is Jonathan Stein, the Student Regent Designate. We're here to tell you about what we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks, serving the UC student population.
So, first of all, we always start with our social media.
Yeah, so let me jump on that. So, first of all, you should be following us at UC Student Regent on Twitter. We Twitter like crazy. You will love what we do.
We tweet like crazy. you sound like my dad.
That was intentional. I give you that one. Okay. We have a website, ucstudentregent.com. We have our personal Facebook pages, and Jonathan has a fan page you should subscribe to.
A public figure page.
And we have a YouTube channel, which you're probably watching this video on.
Okay, so we tend to do last week, next week at this point. So things that Alfredo and I did in the last week, the deadline for the Campus Climate Committee called Unite, that I've mentioned on these video blogs several times, came and went, and so I did a lot of outreaching to potential applicants. We both sat in on a council meeting of the Vice Chancellors of Student Affairs, who are representatives from the Student Affairs staff on every campus. I've been taking part in conference calls with an online voter registration coalition, including Rock the Vote, the League of Women Voters, California Common Cause, other folks who are going to try to increase student voter registration through online tools. Met with Kieran Flaherty at the Office of Government and Community Relations here at UC Berkeley. I met with Elliot Goldstein, a senator here at Cal, to talk about incorporating students into the shared governance model of the UC. Met with Aaron Gore, the CFO of UC Berkeley. I attended a reception at Bolt for sort of celebrating the public interest community at Bolt. It's one of the things that distinguishes Bolt from other elite law schools.
Sounds like you did a lot of Berkeley stuff, John.
Did some Berkeley stuff. I also serve on the selection committee for the system-wide provost, not Berkeley's oriented.
Thank you.
In all of those meetings, I've been trying to emphasize the value of diversity and making sure we have candidates who prioritize diversity in the work that they do. We've been joining with others to help plan May advocacy events that Alfredo's going to talk about later. Alfredo went to E Squared, the outreach and the access and outreach program at UC Santa Cruz. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Just briefly. I mean, this is an amazing event for admitted high school seniors at UC Santa Cruz. These are kids from underrepresented communities that they specifically reach out to try to get them to come to Santa Cruz. One thing that was amazing that I learned was that 64% of the people who attended the same event last year attended Santa Cruz, and we hope to have a higher yield from this year.
So more things from last week. I attended the Student of Color Conference at the Public Policy School. Went to a luncheon with the Cal Alumni Association to talk about advocacy efforts. Cal Day happened. It was a beautiful sunshiny day, and I made cotton candy for young children. Literally nothing will bring more joy to your heart than making cotton candy for children.
Picnic Day happened at UC Davis, which we have to give a shout out for. It's the biggest event at Davis, it was I wasn't able to attend.
Neither of us went.
I know, but we were there in spirit.
I got data from on out-of-state students because we're increasing their numbers at the UC. Got those that data from the admissions office at the UCOP, examining both the racial diversity of out-of-state students, also the academic qualifications of our out-of-state students. Posted something about that on my Facebook fan page. And lastly, I went to Taco Tuesday. $1 tacos, everybody, with my staff, my wonderful, wonderful staff. So, next week, continue planning for the May advocacy events in Sacramento, which again, Alfredo will talk about more in depth later. I should probably stop mentioning it. Unite is going to go through the selection process. We're going to choose the students who are going to serve on this system-wide student work group on campus climate issues. Alfredo is taking part on the May 1st Higher Education Day joint advocacy events in the Capitol with UC, CSUs, and community colleges. And lastly, there's a UCSA board meeting, the University of California Student Association board meeting at UC Santa Cruz, the last of the year.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the things we're going to be working on for the next couple of weeks. First is there's the last Regents meeting of the school year will be happening on May 15th to May 17th. This meeting will be happening in Sacramento, from which I'm told will be the first time since 1993. And it's going to be a joint meeting and a joint series of days of advocacy. We're going to be having students and regents meeting with individual legislators, making our case about why the UC deserves to be funded. We're going to be having a press conference where people from different parts of the university speak on behalf of the university as a whole, speaking as one community. And it's crucial that we're having this during this time, because this is time right when the governor's May revise comes out, which is really when the legislators start negotiating the budget for the next year, which is crucial to us. It's gonna be a great time for students, for Regents, for everybody that's part of the UC community, to make sure that UC gets fully funded for the next year.
One thing that I'm working on is, as I mentioned previously, Unite, a system-wide student work group where students who work on campus climate issues on every campus can come into one common space to share successes, to share failures, to share strategies, to share frustrations. The idea is that Alfredo and I are not going to solve the campus climate challenges facing the UC, but we can use our position to empower other students to work on these issues better. The deadline of that has passed. We've composed a very diverse selection committee that has been working on campus climate issues for years. They're going to make selections over the course of the next week and a half, and hopefully Unite, the first of its kind, will be up and running within 2 or 3 weeks.
Cool.
So the last thing we do in every one of our video blogs is we take questions via Facebook, Twitter, etc. I mistakenly said that this was the last video blog of the year, so I got a lot of questions about what our agenda is for next year and so on. We're not going to talk about that. We'll talk about that in May when we do another one of these. We did get a question from Vishali Lumba, who wants to know what we make of Chancellor Robert Birgeneau of Berkeley's new plan that he put forward to provide every UC with its own Board of Regents, which would have powers to do a variety of things that currently campuses don't have the power to do. The overarching Board of Regents would still remain in place, but with limited powers. So there's some good things and there's some bad things. First of all, it would involve 2 student regents on every campus Board of Regents, which is good because the more students that we can fit into the governing structure of the university, the better. Students are paying more than the state for their own education at this point, and the idea that they're not bus, probably can hear that. The fact that they're not better represented in the governance of the university is a shame. The bad thing, though, is that it would give every university, every campus, the ability to set its own fees and to make its own hiring decisions. And so what I think would happen is that you would see the flagship universities like Berkeley and UCLA, their expenses, their faculty salaries would shoot through the roof, which then in turn would lead to maybe their tuition shooting through the roof. And I think that the fact that every UC campus is equally accessible to our students, they may not be accessible enough, but getting into Berkeley and getting into Riverside or getting into Merced or whatever, all of our campuses are equally accessible to students regardless of their financial position. I think that's a good thing. And if this proposal leads to the deterioration of that, then that's a bad thing.
Jonathan, let me throw some ice into this whole debate. We have to remember Chancellor Birgeneau is retiring, and this seems like somebody who's had a position of authority throwing out some big ideas while he's leaving. And I'd also say this idea has been out there in the past in previous incarnations. It pops up every once in a while, and I think it's more reflective of that we're in a time when there's a lot of stress on the university. And consequently, people are dreaming up big changes because we're tired of getting our budgets cut and having our quality diminished. So before we act like this is gonna come to fruition, we have to acknowledge that this is one of many ideas out there that come in about reforming the Regents or governance of the UC system.
Yeah. Well, Berkeley and Merced are wrapping things up, so good luck to everybody out there who are working on finals. Enjoy the sunshine. The weather's turning out great. And thank you for tuning in. We'll see you after the May Regents meeting when we do our last one of these of the year.
Thanks so much.